Welcome back to Distorted Opinions. I'm Kayla, and you may notice that I've taken Keisha up on her last offer to join me anytime here, and I am joined by Keisha again, and we're gonna try something kind of different for the show today. We really don't have a topic picked out, so we're just going to talk about whatever comes to mind music related and see how this goes and see if this episode sees the light of day. But I suspect it's going to be pretty good because I've had some loose music conversation with Keisha just hanging out, and I have no doubt that we're just going to translate that into a recording with people listening in. So welcome back, Keisha.
Thank you so
for
much.
joining me.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
Love it. Love the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm so excited to be here.
It is. Yes. So we were talking a little bit, and I don't necessarily want to talk too much about it because I'm sure Matt and Ted are going to want to talk about this in another episode where I'm back with those guys. But Tuesday, Matt and Ted and I and another mutual friend of Matt and Ted, Zach, we went to the Guns N' Roses show at Fenway, which was interesting for a number of reasons. But yeah, I've never seen Guns N' Roses live. And
how is that? Like, whoa. I mean, not to divulge, because I do want to listen to what they have to say. First of all, it was a good night, like, because we had so much like crappy weather. So the fact that it was like really beautiful that day, like at least the view was nice, but like, how was the concert in a brief way?
The concert was good. Yeah, I'm starting to feel like we've moved to Seattle here with the amount of rain that we've had lately. It's just been ridiculous. But no, luckily it was a nice day, and Wolfgang Van Halen's band opened for Guns N' Roses. That was a pretty good show. But the Guns N' Roses show, you know, it's interesting. So I've never seen them live. So Matt contacted me the day before to ask if I was interested in taking an extra ticket. And I was like, I'm going to have to see if I can get the time off from work. And my boss is pretty easygoing, but I do know that he typically prefers a little bit more notice than a day if it's not a family emergency or something. So I got to run it by him, find out. And so I told him, you know, I've been offered a ticket to see Guns N' Roses at Fenway tomorrow. And, you know, I'm not going to be upset if you say no, because I know it's short notice. And he was like, well, that sounds like an offer you can't pass up. Go have fun. So that's awesome. I was like, all right. So,
so I was talking to my boss. Shout out to Kayla's boss for making it happen.
That's right. Shout out Grayson. So I was talking to my coworkers about it at our stand-up the next day, and one of my coworkers was kind of joking, and he's like, "So you're gonna go see a geriatric Axl Rose run around on stage, like?" And I said, "Well, you know, my understanding is because I knew Matt and Ted had gone, and they had told me about it. They went to see them in Foxborough when they were here a few years ago, and Matt and Ted had said it was a really great show. And I'm like, so I know it's going to be a good performance. I've never seen them live. I hadn't seen any videos from recent tours, so I had no indication of what they were going to be like seeing them live. Let me just summarize it this way. The band still sounds like Guns N' Roses. Axl is not bad. However, he doesn't have the same range that he had when he was in his 20s and 30s. Not surprisingly, I think that happens to a lot of vocalists as they get older. I mean, I know here comes people here for the regulars, the Metallica reference. I know that James's vocals are not what they were when they put out Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. He can't hit those higher notes, the screeching anymore. His vocals were not bad, but they were definitely they were not your traditional studio Axl Rose-esque vocals. I also felt like a lot of the songs were being played slower than the original tempo. More than once. Not not in a way that I think the average music listener might have been like, this seems kind of slow. But from a musician perspective of knowing the songs and then listening to them. And I feel like in a lot of cases, it's almost the opposite most times with live bands, that their songs that actually seem like they're slightly faster tempo.
Tis true.
Than what they have on a studio recording. And I felt like it was kind of the opposite here. It seemed like it was a little bit slower in tempo, which was a little bit weird. And then at one point, what were they playing? I have to pull up because I had messaged one of my coworkers a clip that I had recorded from the video, and I forget which song it was. Knocking on Heaven's Door. I think Slash actually forgot the first solo.
Oh,
like if you don't know, like if you don't play guitar, if you don't know anything about that solo, you probably wouldn't have noticed. But you could actually see, like, there was a pause, there were a couple of wrong notes, and then there was a pause, and then it wasn't the same. Like, he was pretty spot on that the rest of the solos he played sounded like what you would have heard on the album. That one was an exception, and I'm like, I think he forgot that particular solo. You could kind of see where he was, like, his hands moved in a way that it was like
so there are screens and everything you can see, like, vividly.
Right. They've got a camera that's close up on his hands and a screen that's like 40 feet tall, and you can see his hands. And I mean, even if you couldn't see it, I don't know, I suppose if you only heard it, you probably wouldn't have necessarily heard it and been like, oh, he flubbed. But seeing it was that additional cue that you could kind of see, like, his hands. It was just, as a guitar player, like the type of motion that a person makes when they don't remember where they're supposed to be and their hand suddenly moves to another spot. And I mean, again, the guy's a pro, so I don't think the average person noticed. He recovered, and everybody, it sounded like a different take on the solo, and it is what it is. For me, I was like, ooh, I think Slash just forgot the solo there. But overall, the band as a whole, they sound like Guns N' Roses. It's the vocals that are a little bit like
seasoned. We'll call it seasoned. Seasoned vocals will be nice.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was a good show. I'm not a huge Guns N' Roses fan to begin with, so for me, like, if I hadn't been being offered a free ticket, I wouldn't have bought a ticket to go see them, because I'm just like, I'm not. It's good to see them, but not a band.
It must have been nice to, like, at least go to a concert. Like, we're just talking about, like, well, when it's time. So, and now that it's here, I'm kind of like, do I want to go? I think I want to go. Yeah, I want to go. So, like, that had to be kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it was good to see live music again. And I mean, even COVID situation aside, the last time I went to see a concert, I think, was 2017. I think. I can't remember having been to anything else since, because I went to see Metallica in the late spring, early summer of 2017. And then on a smaller scale, my dad and I've talked about this on other shows, we went to see Eric Johnson at the Bull Run in Shirley. And I'd be lying. In 2018, I went and saw Town Meeting. They played at Hollis Hills Farm up in Fitchburg. I think it's Fitchburg or Lunenburg. I did go see them there, but I think that's the last show that I've been to. So it's been a while. Forget about COVID being a reason to not go to a show. Right. It's just been a while in general for me, just because I haven't been to a show. But going to a show post quarantine.
Yeah.
I know you and I know we were talking a little bit about this before the show, and I'm not sure how much I want to get into this, because I feel like it could become political, and we try to keep things non-political here. But it was interesting to me, the number of people who were not wearing masks still. And, granted, you're outdoors.
Yeah, Fenway Park is open. So, like, we can say, like, it's an quite open venue.
Right. but it's not in the area where you're coming in to get to your seats. That's kind of more enclosed, and it was packed. I mean, it was reminiscent of you go to a show pre-COVID and you expect that there's going to be crowds and crowds of people and everybody's close to each other. And that's what it was. And I think I could probably count just on both hands the number of people I saw wearing masks during the show. And I mean, we didn't. So for any friends that might be listening to this or anybody who follows us on social media that you probably saw on our Instagram, the posts, we posted a picture Tuesday night of Matt and Ted and I at the show. First time that the three of us have been, as I put it, in the wild together since COVID, because
that's what it feels like.
Well, exactly. And up until then, our shows are all done via Zoom. So, I mean, we hang out together on a regular basis, but not in person. We've been, up until recently, like you and Ted and his wife, Michelle, and I, we've gotten together a couple of times, and I've seen Matt a couple of times, but I've not seen that particular arrangement of people in person in some time. And so that's the first time since we've been doing this show that the three of us have all been in person at an event together. And so for anybody who might have been wondering and watching that picture, because we're talking about wearing masks at the show, the three of us did wear masks when we were out and about in the more crowded areas, but in our seats, we did not. And there weren't really a lot of people around us in the seats. So like, I feel like it was kind of not as big of a deal there, but I'm not at a point where with this new variant going around that I feel comfortable being in a large crowd. In fact, I think I had talked to you because Ted had told us he was going to be going to the show. And I was like, man, I don't know how I would feel about going to a concert like that right now, because I'm still kind of on the fence. I go out places, but not large crowds. And if I go to the grocery store or whatever, I'm still wearing a mask. But,
oh, me too. 100%. Like, I'm wearing my mask, like in those types of crowded spaces. I don't wear it in, like, if it's like a couple of people, I'm usually good. But like in the grocery store, first of all, super public. And I already thought that grocery stores were pretty disgusting. And I'm saying this as somebody who used to work in one. Okay. Right. Like there's some, like, I get agitated. I have a lot of anxiety, grocery shopping. And the fact that I see people picking tomatoes and touching everything. And like, I feel like there are some things we can just keep just for our own, like, just for our own safety and security, especially in the grocery store, because people are kind of nasty. Like, people are gross, but they've always been gross. So now it's just like, I have a reason. Now I'm using this as a crutch to not deal with certain people's disgusting behaviors in a public space. That's why I'm wearing the mask.
Right.
Not just because of this crazy variant that's upending all of our big back summers, but because I don't want to deal with people's nasty habits. That's why.
Right. I mean, it's funny because I'm with you 100%. Stores, mask. I wear a mask. Concert, wore a mask anywhere that I wasn't sitting down. Smaller groups. If I know who the people are, I know, we're all vaccinated and we're all like being relatively cautious. I'm a little more comfortable with that. But a concert's kind of a big deal because that's a very large crowd of people and you don't know who's who around there. And it's funny because no sooner did we go to that concert, the next morning I woke up and I was going through my email and I don't even know. I have to pull up the email because I don't even know who I got the email from, but there was an email from some organization talking about Lollapalooza, which I believe was last week.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, I got my email open because I'm trying to find that email and I know I read it, but I'm not seeing.
Were they impacted?
Well, apparently, it was about whether or not we've resumed concerts and stuff too soon and how Lollapalooza, there have been a bunch of people that are now saying that they don't feel too great. And I was like, well, there's an email I want to read after I just go to a concert.
Silence that. Like,
but I'm wondering, like Lollapalooza, I didn't see what that looked like, but I'm guessing it was largely on the ground crowd in front of a stage, a little bit different than the setup at Fenway where there's more space between people.
Yeah.
So I feel, but still, I'm like, I get that email and I'm like,
yeah, I don't need this right now.
And here's a funny one for you. So not necessarily music related, but it will tie in a little bit. So my mom was down in South Carolina visiting my brother, and she was supposed to come back Monday night. And
that whole thing.
So actually Keisha and I were doing a previous show while I was dealing with, so if you're watching the video version of that and you're wondering why I look distracted at times, I was listening to Keisha, but I was getting text messages and notifications because I was supposed to go pick my mom up at the airport and her flight kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And what I didn't want to tell her at the time is I was using a flight tracker app to track her flight, and it's free, but because it's free, you get ads on the app.
Yeah.
And one of the ads, I'll have to, maybe I can put it on the screen when I edit the show, but I showed it to her when she got back because I didn't want to show it before. But one of the ads that popped up was for Casper Funeral and Cremation. Now, you want to talk about something you don't want to see? Like, do you really want to see an ad for a funeral home on your flight tracker app?
No.
And then the next day, as I'm like still pondering, is it really a good idea for me to go to this concert? I'm scrolling through Instagram and I get a sponsored ad for another funeral and cremation place. And I'm like, is somebody trying to send me a message? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, who's sabotaging me? Ooh, anyway, that's messed up. That's messed up.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought you'd enjoy that because I'm over here worrying about going to the concert, and then I see yet another ad for a funeral home, and I'm like,
that's messed up.
Maybe I should reconsider.
Public entering back into the public is so like it's the physical stuff that's actually happening, right? And then it's a lot of mental warfare on yourself, especially if you've been like secluded and isolated. And I joked about it, but going to the grocery store has just been one of those things for me where it's like. Maybe because it was the first time when I went to the grocery store when this first happened.
Yeah.
Again, as somebody who used to work in that space, I remember going to the grocery store like when, toilet paper was so hard to find and it was just, it was sheer mayhem. Fast track that to today in how I deal with a lot of anxiety going to a grocery store is I usually listen to music, which is hilarious because it distracts me from me focusing on people's bad habits and their nasty habits. So I'm usually listening to music, but I forgot I forgot everything. I forgot my earbuds. I forgot my headphones. Everything was left at home. I was already there. I wasn't turning around. So I decided to listen to the intercoms, whatever station they play. So it's usually like a rotational like CD or like, I forgot they use like Mood, I think is the company that has like rotational discs. That's what they're called in all those spaces. So anytime you go into like a quick service restaurant or like a hotel, they have a sound system, usually called Mood. And you're sent like this disc, like a mixtape that just plays on a loop, or they'll have various satellite stations that they rotate through.
Okay.
Today it was on the 80s station and I was okay with that. So hilariously enough, as we talk about how our last show went, I really felt good when I was like going through the produce department, which is usually like, I usually got to get in and out of there because I don't want to focus on people like eating cherries or something. And freaking Aha's Take On Me came on. And
that's awesome.
So I started singing it because I'm there. Yes, I'm masked, but I'm singing. And I'm that obnoxious person singing in the grocery store. And it's because I don't want to focus on anybody else, but I know I'm aggravating somebody else. And tell me not, some Ernestine, some lovely woman, well into her golden years, comes up to me, taps me, and is like, "Excuse me, sweetheart, who sings the song?"
Oh my God.
How do you not know?
We found the one person who doesn't know that song.
She had no idea. She was like, I can see it. And this is where she got me. I can see the music video. And I was like, come on.
Oh no.
So I was like, man, this Aha's Take On Me. I was like, they did this song. She's like, it was one hit, but man, was it phenomenal. She carried on.
Oh my God. That's funny. I mean, so to kind of circle back to that for a moment, because so after we talked about that video at length, I was like, I gotta go watch this video again. I haven't seen this video in ages. And on YouTube, they've got the recommended videos on the sidebar there.
You went down a rabbit hole.
Well, there was one that it talked about, it was a 3-part, and it was actually, so a-ha has a YouTube channel, and it was on their YouTube channel, and it's a 3-part series. I'll see if I can find it again. And the first part talked about the history of the song, I guess.
Wow.
And how it was written in the recording process. And the second part talked about the making of the music video and the history of that. And then the third part was about the legacy of the song and the music video. Now, what I found really interesting was the part 2 about the music video, because it wasn't just about the video as we know it that we've talked about. Did you know there was actually a video for that prior?
No. What?
Not only was there a music video they had already recorded for it, there was a different recording of the song. Like, they had recorded that album. What? They got signed to a label and then assigned like a branch of the label here in the US, and that branch really, I guess, didn't give a crap about them because they weren't a US band. They weren't a band that particular branch of the label had signed. So they didn't really put a lot of money or effort into them. And if you go watch this video, and you might even be able to find the original video on its own on YouTube, not only is the recording different, it's kind of lackluster, but the video is basically just like, we talked about how in the early days of MTV, music videos were low budget because nobody really put a lot of time or effort into them. It's like that level of quality. It's basically just the band on the stage, and you got a couple of cutaways of them, but there's really nothing else. And I forget exactly the whole story as to how they ended up getting teamed up with the guy who directed the video as we know it now, but they talk a lot about how his vision for that came from he had seen like a college student project that had been done with a rotoscope, and that was kind of his inspiration for, this is how we should do this video. But it gave them a lot of opportunities that they didn't otherwise have, because nobody was paying attention to that song or the band or the video based on the original recordings and the original video they had for it. But as soon as that video came out, that video blew them up to mainstream because of what that, even today, by today's standards, they talked a lot about how they drew that and how much time it took to draw it. And they interview the artists who drew the art, and they interview a photographer that photographed the behind the scenes of them filming the music video. And he talks about coming in and they've got this big backdrop behind them and they're filming, and he has no idea what's going on because he hasn't seen the storyboard or anything for the video. He just sees that they've got this giant backdrop with these huge, like all of those drawings and stuff that you see in the video. If you look at them like in the background, those are actually like massive drawings that the artist did on the backdrop where they filmed the video. And he was like, it was just really incredible, even at that point, to be somebody not involved in it, but walking into the room while they're filming it and seeing this whole thing and how they did because we talked about it, if you haven't seen the video still, what are you doing? It's been at least a week since we talked about this.
Miss Ernestine saw the video. She may not have known who's saying it, but she saw the video.
She didn't listen to our previous episode. Right? Or she'd have known. So if you haven't seen the video, it's a lot of tie-ins between real people and animations, and the way they did that was really ahead of its time and is still ahead of its time, I think, today.
Yeah.
But
so
it's just
true.
I was blown away when I saw that come up in the suggested videos, and I was like, wait a minute, there was a previous video for this and a different recording of the song. Wow. Amazing. I'll tell you what, you may know about it by the time you're hearing this episode, because I'm probably going to link it in one of the social media posts about the last episode. So if you haven't seen it already, go check it out. It's a very interesting story. They interview the band and the different people involved, and they talk about the process of coming up with that music video and what the original recording and music video looked like and how they went from that to the video as we know it today. But it's humorous to me that woman didn't know the name of the song or who did it, but she knew the video. That's what I was saying. Like, you pictured the video in your head when you hear the song.
Right. And had I not been like singing it off the top of my lungs, we would have never had this dialogue. But like, I just had to make it through. And coincidentally enough, after that came it was a Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. That's how I felt. Well, I was like, yes, I am halfway there. I am halfway to the checkout. Like,
yes.
hanging on a wing and a prayer here, trying so hard to get through this mess. Like,
that's funny.
I wish like there was a way to see like how my brain works when I'm literally in some of these spaces, but I totally understand like the skepticism and like going out into the general public, because like everything's changed. Like I can't even like go like driving around feels weird because like traffic's back to normal, right?
Right.
So I found myself when I was done, and I was like, I have some time to do a couple of errands. It's lunchtime. Let me get something. And like I forgot what it was like to be on the road with people. Some people driving slow and some people drive like, clearly some people are not in a rush and are still living this COVID life dream. And other people are like myself, just trying to get in and out, trying to like use their lunch break to the fullest.
For sure.
And hilariously enough, I figured out that I still have some like Massachusetts road rage left in me because Ludacris's Move came on the radio and I immediately got angry. Immediately. At first I was just like annoyed. But then like if you hear the song, no one should listen to this and be like trying to get anywhere. No one. Because all of a sudden you're gonna have like all the rage in the world and be like, yeah, move, get out the way. Like, get out of my way. I'm hungry, I'm hangry, I'm trying to get home. I just had this overstimulating experience. Like I was a hot mess. But the reintroduction into the public has been it's been awkward. It's been really awkward.
Yeah. I would agree 100%. And I don't have the experience like, I know you were working in a restaurant up until a few weeks ago, and you were working in the restaurant throughout this whole situation. And so I don't quite have that experience with it. I've been working from home since March 17th of 2020. And not to say that I haven't had to go into the office every now and then for things, but I've been in the office by myself. And early on, it was very different because there was no traffic. So it was like pretty much get in, get out. And now it's almost, I feel worse than it was pre-COVID. I don't know what it is, but I mean, for me, probably even one of the more challenging things about working from home, and I guess depending on how you view it, maybe it's not challenging, and maybe challenging is not the right word, but
it's
different. So I don't really have a lot of time to listen to music or podcasts in the way that I used to. And I listen to music when I'm working during the day, but I can only listen to certain types of music, because if I listen to the kind of music that I typically would listen to if I was just driving around, like if I listened to Octane or Lithium or Alt Nation or any of those stations on Sirius XM, I tend to get a little too distracted by hearing songs come on that I know, and if they have lyrics. So a lot of times what I tend to listen to is like either Real Jazz or the Chill station, or if you have the internet subscription for Sirius, they have some stations that you don't get on the radio. And one of them is a station called Chill Hop, which is kind of a cross of the chill station, hip hop, and jazz a lot of times. So
that sounds awesome. I apparently need the internet subscription too. Okay.
It's worthwhile. In fact, I find I listen to that more than I listen to my car these days because I so rarely drive anywhere. And when I do drive somewhere, I'm not driving usually very far. I'm just going down the road to the grocery store or downtown. It's rare for me to drive far enough that I really listen to a lot of radio in my car. And I know a lot of people that have kind of said similar things to me. Like, I know a lot of people that are like, somebody recently, a mutual friend of ours was like, you guys picked a bad time to get into a podcast because I don't have time to listen to podcasts anymore. I'm not driving anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, you're not the first person actually who has told me that. But I mean, this show actually started as it was meant to be video only. And the podcast aspect of it was really kind of an afterthought. And now it's kind of like 50-50. We kind of try to treat it equally, but
that's a weird thing to say too, because it's just like, well, we still experience music like wherever we are. And I can also relate to like not being mindful enough to kind of turn it on at home because it was something that, you experience more in transit.
Sure.
So like I had horrible commutes. Like my commutes are always like an hour and 30, hour and 40 minutes. So I had time. To like I would listen to the radio going all the way in, and then on the way back, I would listen to my favorite podcast because it would be a great way for me to decompress. And then of course at work in all restaurants, I touched on this, but like they have house music. And you're listening to that in rotation, and that's like a marker of how long you've been working. So it can be a bit cyclical. Like, I'm hearing the same song every 45 minutes.
Right.
It's not okay. Like the only reason why I knew about, X Ambassadors Unsteady is because they had it in rotation. I can tell you I was so sick of that song. Like, I don't even know why I'm singing it. It's because it's playing. I must have been here for another 45 minutes. Ta-da! So, but I want to be better about, playing things when I'm at home. Like, when outside of cleaning the house, like that, my normal ritual, just getting ready for that space.
Right.
Strange, but
I mean, the closest I could probably find to relating to that specific situation would have been years ago when I was still in college. There were a couple of summers I worked at the local hardware store, and the manager there at the time used to listen to, she had like 3 CDs that she would play because the radio reception for terrestrial FM radio in that particular building was not great, so there weren't a lot of options, and so she had like 3 CDs, and I can't remember, one of them was Tom Petty, and I can't remember who the other 2 were, but it was like day in and day out the same 3 CDs every day, and I felt like I was going to lose my mind. Like I can't hear any of those songs to this day. I have to change the station if any of them come on because I'm like, oh God, I just can't anymore. I've heard these too many times. I'm so sick of them. So I can't even imagine working in a grocery store or a restaurant and having to listen to those same songs over and over and over again. I would lose my mind.
Oh my gosh. There's so many songs like that though. Now it's like, because we heard them, I'm sure like, a generation after us feels the same way and generations before us feel the same way. But there are certain songs that come on that I was like, absolutely no, like turn it off. We need to do something else. Do something else, please. Like this cannot be it. But it is hear it in repetition. This makes you load the song so much quicker.
Oh, for sure.
It's like you get as angry as like hearing Christmas music before Halloween has started. That's the type of angry people get. You know what I mean?
I was in the paper store. This was several years ago at this point. And I was in the paper store in July looking for a card. And all of a sudden it occurs to me that the music that's playing is Christmas songs.
No.
And I'm like, why are there Christmas songs playing in the middle of July? And then somebody pointed out Christmas in July, and I'm like, you mean that's a real, like, that's an actual thing that they actually play? Well, and it's Hallmark, so
yeah, it's I get it, but like, no, for everyone's personal, like, mental well-being, stop with the Christmas music in July. Stop with it in August. Don't do it in September. The only acceptable time to have Christmas music is from December 1st to December 31st. Like,
I could let the day after Thanksgiving slide as a starting point. Like, that's kind of for me.
But I got to get through all of Thanksgiving. Don't be doing this like Thanksgiving Day. Like, let me get through all of it. Maybe Black Friday.
Like the sales starting at 2 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day now. I'm like, what is this?
Right?
Eat your Thanksgiving dinner and give it a rest.
By the way, to me is the worst meal ever, but we don't have to get into that.
Oh, really?
Like, we do not have to get into that.
Oh, boy.
No.
I feel like that could veer off into a different show entirely, which could be interesting.
Lifetime.
But
I don't want to know.
If you came here for music, you probably aren't here to hear about the Thanksgiving dinner stories, although they could be funny.
They could be funny. Well, that's not here. It's what I want to hear. Like, the things I want to hear in summer. Like, I want to get through summer and fall listening to very specific things. Like, old school summer jams for me are always great. You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff I want to listen to now until like, I guess, the start of school, like Labor Day, summertime ends type of a thing. And then oddly, like, I start listening to a lot of classical music in the fall time. I don't know. It just feels fitting because we're in New England. Sure. So that's where I head. But in the summertime, I'm all about like some old school jams. I was listening to I Got Five on it. I was listening to like old, like 90s hip hop rap and stuff. It was great. That's how I want to spend my summer.
Sure. Well, it's funny that you brought that up, because I actually had, like, even though we came into this without, we were like, well, we're just going to get into it. We're going to have conversation. We're not going to have a topic. I had kind of jotted down some potential talking points in case we got stuck, which I wasn't anticipating that happening, but I like to be prepared. And one of the bullet points that I had was summer music playlist, because I feel like that's timely right now, but I also have certain songs that's like, I expect to listen to these songs or these types of songs during the summer.
Like, what's like number one for you?
Oh, we might end up getting a little bit into the song of the week, but I can pick some other ones.
Okay, do another one. Do another one. Do one that's like towards the top.
I think I actually have in Spotify a summer playlist. Here actually. So Spotify, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, did one of those things where they're like, here's a suggested playlist we put together for you, and it's called Your Summer Rewind, and it's supposed to be a playlist featuring old summer favorites. So let's kind of see what's in here.
Let's.
So like I said, I listen to a lot, especially when I'm working. I listen to a lot of more chill style stuff and jazz, but there's some other stuff in there too. So number one on that playlist was actually one of my song of the week picks. I forget which episode. I'd have to go back. I think it was our TV show soundtracks episode, actually. Song called Mine by Vibralux. They're a Canadian band. That's an awesome song. Number two is In the Morning by Cascade.
Oh my God.
Return to Air by Bonobo. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Waves by Tourists. Feel Like I Do, which is a remix by Disclosure, but it's an Al Green song.
Yep.
Amor Fati, Washed Out. Only. Cascade, Beachcomber by the Corvids and Blue Azure. That's a good song.
I love that Cascade's on there a few times, because yes.
Cruise, Oliver Chang and Evan James. We're All We Need featuring Zoe Johnson, but it's Above and Beyond, I guess, that does that. I don't know. Some of these I haven't listened to in a while. Take on Me by Rashad, EB, and Caleb Hayes. I'm not even sure what remix that is because I have to listen to it. Oh, okay. I just pulled it up here. This is actually... Oh no, it's not what I thought it was. I thought it was I do have somewhere in one of my playlists a metal cover of Take on Me, which is pretty awesome. But this one's kind of like a newer age pop take on, which I know that probably sounds weird because Take on Me is already kind of poppy, but it sounds like kind of a modern take on a-ha's Take on Me, if that makes sense. Shaded In by, is it Phyllis? I don't know how you pronounce Filous, Jordan Lesser and Common Tiger. And then oddly, there's some rock music mixed in at the bottom here, like Born to Be Wild.
Yes.
Emotionless by Red Sun Rising. I got a few Take on Me's here. I got another one by Captain Jazz.
Wow.
Must be a jazz cover of it.
Must be a jazz cover, yeah.
I could probably do a whole playlist of just Take on Me covers that we could talk about. And honestly, another one of my coworkers, we were talking about Blue Monday recently. And I was like, oh, which one? The orgy version or the original? And it was neither. And he sent the link to the one he was listening to. And I was like, oh, I've never heard this one. This is actually pretty good. Next thing I know, he has put together a playlist that is 2 hours long of nothing but Blue Monday covers. I feel like we could do an episode just talking about covers of pick a cover of a song and talk about it and the different covers.
Yeah.
What was I'm trying to remember which one was the one he was listening to, but yeah, there's some really great covers of Blue Monday, but I feel like I'm kind of the same way with covers of Take on Me. I've got a whole bunch of, here's another one, The Real Sully G. I don't even remember what this one is.
That has to be such a great, and also to sit down and listen to every single one of them back to back to pick out.
Yes.
That'd be a good little reaction, reaction video to be like, oh.
Yes, I feel like we could totally make an episode that just...
After hour one.
Yes. I'm not going to lie, though, with the Blue Monday thing, for the first maybe half hour, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then by the time maybe the 10th rendition of Blue Monday came on, I was like,
all right.
Okay. I'm starting to get burned from this song, even though it's different renditions of the same song. It's starting to get a little bit old at this point.
Yeah, but for some reason, an awesome topic though, just covers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
successful or unsuccessful.
I don't get that way with Take on Me though. I don't get sick of that in the same way. Oddly enough, I just don't.
It's too good. It's too good.
Yeah, I guess so. It is a one-hit wonder. I would agree there.
It is.
With that.
But Ernestine said, they did that one hit. They did it.
Yes, they did. They had other music videos and those popped up as well in the suggested videos. And I saw the thumbnail for one and I'm like, oddly, this looks like it's animated as well. And I open it and it pretty much is it's not done to the same level that Take on Me, that the video for that was done, but it's the band. And then they cut to these animations that are kind of similar. And so I'm like, well, clearly they saw a train and decided to hop on here and keep riding it for as long as they could, because this, I'm seeing the theme with this video here. But even then,
and I love this in a summer soundtrack. That's great.
Yes. Yeah. I've got at least four renditions of Take on Me here in this playlist that Spotify made for me. I've got a couple of Secret of Mana renditions of some covers of some of those, or some takes on those.
You have the Ice Cream Man jingle?
No, I don't think so. I think that's probably the only thing not in this playlist, to be honest with you. I don't even know. There is a name for that song. And
no way.
Oh, yes. I know exactly which one you're talking about because now I got it going through my head.
Can I tell you a story? So
Sure.
like, um, don't judge me by this story, but it happened when I was younger.
Okay.
So apparently, my older brother was watching me. And if you don't know the street that I live in, there's a little bit of a cul-de-sac, a short
Mhm.
one, but it was a cul-de-sac.
Mhm.
And so I think I had like some change saved up or something, but like I heard the ice cream truck in the middle of the house and like without batting an eyelash, as if I was like possessed, I like ran, got this change and tried to run out the door, like without shoes, like just tried to run out the
Uh,
house. My brother being the protector and probably reasonable, though I hope he never listens to this because I will argue with him till this day. But I I tried to run outside. He was like, no, wait, like trying to be like, you know, a good sibling and being like, let me go out with you, like let's do this together, so on and so
mhm.
forth. And I was like, Quincy, if you gotta let me go now. I gotta go. No. Ah. So I'm like, if I don't come, I'm gonna miss it. And no lie, this is what it sounded like. And that was it. Like the dude was like down and out. Now, in my household, the argument stands that I could have made it. But like my brother believes that I would have never made it and it was never safe. Till this day, if we are in a space together and we hear an ice cream truck, like we both have PTSD.
Oh my God. That's funny. I haven't seen an ice cream truck around here and like once actually, and it was on a day that I would not have expected to see an ice cream truck because it wasn't like it was hot weather that you would think people be like, "Ooh, an ice cream sounds good today." It was still, I think, fairly early in the spring,
Mhm.
kind of chilly, not like, I mean, I'm never going to turn down an ice cream, but
Right?
I was like, this doesn't really seem like the kind of day that you would expect to find the ice cream man driving around here. Um, I am of an age where it's probably frowned upon to act like that and still run out the door and be like, ice cream truck. But if I had a nickel for every time I'm standing, like I'm in the kitchen
Yes.
washing the dishes or something, the
And you
window is
see
open
it.
and I hear the jingle the next street over and I'm like, the ice cream truck, where is he? And I go out and I'm trying to figure out, and it's like, ooh, do I have money? Of course, this probably veers off into a different show topic, but I'm pretty sure inflation has caused ice cream at the ice cream truck to cost much more than back in my day when it was like $1 you could get one of
Yeah.
those strawberry shortcake things.
$1.25 max.
Yeah,
It has changed. I can tell you it's changed
like
because
$4.
it's like 450. It was like 475. I was like, wait a minute, time out, hold up. Because when I passed by, I ran out there real quick because I'm an adult now. I can do these things. So like I ran out there. I ran out outside of the complex. And no lie, I wasn't the only person. So I felt a little bit better about my decision. But then I got up there and I was like, yo, why is the Choco Taco 475?
Gas prices.
I was like, you know what? I'm out here and I really want it. And I got one for my brother and I drove it to him just so I could tell him.
Well, that was nice of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Considering he prevented you from getting that ice cream many years ago.
We literally cannot be in the same space. If we hear it together, like it's immediate. Like I have a death glare at him and he laughs dead in my face. Like,
oh, Jesus.
It could be mid-sentence.
That's funny.
So the ice cream jingle, if you can find that song, that's awesome because I'll make that his ringtone for sure.
It's an actual song. I just don't remember what it is offhand. In fact, so I don't remember if you were part of this. So senior year of high school in the music composition class, there were only like 5 or 6 of us in that class. And one of our projects was we wrote and recorded a song. Mm-hmm. And we also made a video for it. And the song's called Happy Bunnies. And
I feel like I know of this, but I
probably do.
Yeah.
One of our mutual friends, who's also one of the guys from the jam session, actually had the video still and has put it on YouTube, and he's shared it with me a couple of times now. But the song opens up with that ice cream truck jingle. And I don't know if we recorded that, like if somebody heard the ice cream truck going by and recorded that, or if we knew what it was and somebody found it. Cause this was in the early days of like, you wouldn't as easily gone onto the internet and pulled an audio clip or something like you do now. I don't think YouTube was a thing when we were in high school. So where that audio of the ice cream truck jingle would have come from, I'm not really entirely sure. All I know is you hear that, and in the video, I think somebody who is in that part of the video is supposed to be getting an ice cream from the ice cream truck, and it's quite clearly like, Mrs. Cordio's band room, and somebody is reaching out the window with an ice cream cone, but it was supposed to be the ice cream truck. It's a very bizarre video. Kind of makes you wonder what we were thinking when we recorded that. But
that's how we had fun. Like, I wouldn't take it back, but like, that's how we had to pass the time.
Yeah. There are so many things. I was actually, when we were going to to the concert the other night, I was talking to Matt and Ted, and I don't know how we got on the topic, but somehow we got, I know what it was. Matt was talking about the neighborhood he lives in, and that part of the reason they chose to move into that neighborhood was at the time it was a quiet area, in a good neighborhood. And now he's like, I don't know if the kids that were here when we moved in that were quiet have now just become teenagers, or if new people have moved in. But he's like, I find myself walking outside and seeing kids doing things and being like, you really shouldn't be doing that. And then somehow we got on the topic of like, I think there were some things we did that were kind of questionable. Like, I remember having jam sessions in the driveway at 2 p.m. and having the cops called on us for that. And at the time, we really didn't think that was anything that warranted. I, to this day, still don't think that's something that warranted calling the cops. But like, there were many occasions where there were things that we look back and it's like, the adults let us get away with this? Or,
well, we'll say that the adults at least were there. So like, one thing I appreciate is that we were always like semi-supervised. We weren't like, there were no helicopter parents. They allowed us to express ourselves in a respectably safe-ish space. We were never left 100% alone. So it's
that's true.
Y'all can like, run y'all feel out here and be crazy and play whatever music, whatever, as long as I can see your behinds. That's cool. Like, nowadays, I'm like, where are the parents?
Right. Well, yeah, for sure. But like, so there were the occasions where we were left unsupervised were usually like once we all got licenses.
Once we got cars, yeah.
And there were some things with Chris, who's been on our show before on the 5 a.m. Fuse episode, there were some moments where
that's an after dark conversation.
He did some questionable, like we dropped him off at McDonald's to get something and he was doing some things, walking around. I know this is probably going to sound worse than it actually was, but he was doing some things that were questionable. And in response, Ted, who was driving, just like sped off and left him there. And then we observed him from across the street for a few minutes. And then he didn't act the way most people probably would have, which would have either been to like either panic or go look for a phone to try and call somebody, because you didn't really have cell phones at that point, or start walking home or something. He didn't do any of those things. He just continued to pace around outside of McDonald's. And then we pull up and he starts to get in and Ted peels off. And next thing you know, he's chasing us around the middle of the rotary, like with traffic around us and stuff. And it's like, oh my God, like these are the kinds of things that happen when left unsupervised.
Yes. But we're all here. We all still made it.
Right.
We're all like, respectable human beings. We're very cordial in public. If you see us, we're very nice.
But yeah, so that, I mean, I don't know how we got on that from ice cream truck jingles, but
it's the weird music video. It's the nostalgia of childhood, I guess, is what that jingle does. It's like it pulls something out of you. I feel like that's summer in general. Well, and I think you bring it up because some of the craziest stuff that happened in and around each other was summer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
So
true.
If we want to tie it to music, it's just like the sounds of summer, I suppose.
True. Yes.
Before our teachers got a hold of us.
Right. Well, speaking of summer, so I know we're quickly approaching an hour here. I don't know if we maybe want to head into the song of the week and start to wrap up here, because I'm sure we could continue. I'm sure we could be here all day just talking about all kinds of things. But if you're good to head into the song of the week,
let's do it.
So I'll do my usual spiel, which is that if you're new to the show, we have a Spotify Song of the Week playlist. We put all of our picks in their entirety into that playlist. We put the link in the description of every episode, or if you're watching the video version, we also have a Spotify scan code that we put on the screen. All you have to do is open the Spotify app on your mobile device, click on the camera in the search bar, and hold your phone or tablet or whatever it may be up to the screen and scan the code, and it will take you to the playlist so that you can hear all of the songs that we're talking about today. Well, not all of the songs we're talking about today are Song of the Week songs and our previous Song of the Week songs, because we talked about a lot of songs today. I'd be here for a long time. Like, I could just curate a list based off of what we talk about today.
That'd be cool to do, like every quarter, just like, you know, a quarterly, like, yo, these are some of our tops, mostly referenced to.
We do kind of do that sometimes for like special episodes. I know in the past, the acoustic episode, we did a playlist that was just acoustic tunes, and the holiday episode, we had a playlist for that. St. Patrick's Day, I think we did a playlist. The video game episodes have had distinct playlists. So we do it from time to time, but the overall playlist, I think when I last checked, is just shy of 10 hours. Whoa. And it's very eclectic at this point.
That's awesome.
So, and getting more eclectic by the episode. Yes. So I had mentioned that my Song of the Week pick is kind of a summer pick that I didn't want to discuss while we were on that topic because I didn't want to, give that away. But I went with Walking on a Dream by Empire Sun off of their debut album, Walking on a Dream,
which
2008. Really? I didn't realize that song came out in 2008. I was like, didn't I just hear this like a year or two ago?
Yeah.
2008. And you may have, if you're not familiar with the song or if you don't think you heard it, it's possible you may have and you just didn't realize. Honda a few years back used it in a commercial for the Civic. And I remember seeing the commercial and it was kind of cool because it was like, it's hard to describe, but there's a whole, like, it's pretty much a continuous take kind of thing of a car driving out of somebody's mind and then going like through all these different scenes. And it's a cool commercial, but I think that may have been the first place I heard that song, but I'm also pretty sure I've heard it a number of times on either Sirius XM, Alt Nation, or the Chill station. I'm not sure which one, but I know I heard it getting some play on Sirius at one point.
That's so good. And if you're not a big movie person, which we have to fix this whole thing. But if you saw the movie Hall Pass, it's in the credits. So like if you haven't heard on the radio, which you're strange people, watch the movie. It runs during the credits. Great tune. And you're right. It is indeed a good summer hit.
It is an awesome song. I didn't know anything about the group until I was kind of putting some notes together for this. So they're Australian based and I guess they fall under the category of alt electro. So they're kind of considered alt electro pioneers. Luke Steele and Nick Littlemore. The music video I had never seen, but I saw it when I was doing a bit of a search here. Apparently they shot that in Shanghai, China. But yeah, it's a great song. If you haven't heard it, it definitely, I think, falls under a must have on your summer playlist. It's one of those songs that, and I've had many songs like this that I've talked about on the show, but this is one of them that when it comes on the iPod or on the radio, the volume level goes up. And if I've got the windows down, well, I hope you all enjoy the song because you're going to listen to it whether you like it or not if I'm sitting at a traffic light or something. But it's just such a great song. I had no idea that it came out 13 years ago now.
That's nuts.
Yeah, crazy. Because I think I only heard it recently. But
it doesn't feel like that long ago.
Well, that's
but so
true.
much has
Everything
happened.
feels like yesterday to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my song of the week for this week. And I know last episode that we had you on, you made up for the fact that Matt and Ted were not on here.
Yes.
And I think you had like 4 or 5 picks. So I'm curious to see what you've got picked out for this week.
Well, I had a few, but if we're sitting on this summer theme, I'm gonna go with a song I recently listened to only because summer for me also spells out a rekindling of a love of anime, because like my summer nights were always filled with watching a lot of anime. And one of them in particular, I just found out was like cycling through like the Amazon Prime Video circuit. And it's based off of a video game. So like two things that I love. It's a Street Fighter 2, the movie. And one of the songs that they have in there is Alice in Chains, Them Bones. And I was like, yes. So I forgot that song was in there until I watched it. And I was like, the soundtrack to that movie is amazing. It's amazing. The American version, the Japanese release is also fantastic, but music choices are different because they definitely went very American for the USA release, because they also had like Korn on there. I forgot. They have Blind. They have Blind by Korn. Yeah. So interesting. I would say that my pick, because summer, it would definitely be Alice in Chains. Okay. That was something that I listened to a lot. Thank you.
That is a good pick. Yeah. I was just going through. So we keep a spreadsheet to keep track of our show topics and more or less to keep track of all of our song of the week picks, because we've tried not to pick something that we picked previously. And I know there's been quite a bit of Alice in Chains over the last year. And surprisingly enough, we did not have Them Bones yet. So that is a fresh pick on the playlist here.
Reason number whatever why I have earned that Moon Man. I'm just going to say.
That's right. The Moon Man is on order, pre-order. Moon Man should be here sometime, probably mid-September. But yes, indeed, you have a Moon Man coming your way. So a Moon Man Funko Pop thing.
Yes.
So, all right, awesome. Well, that is a great pick. We will make sure to get both of those into our Song of the Week playlist. And I don't know, maybe we can work on curating if there's interest, a summer hits playlist on Spotify for anybody that might be interested. And then that would be a place where I would potentially put some of those other songs that I mentioned earlier when I was going through the list that Spotify compiled for me. But on that note, unless there's anything else you wanted to add, I think we'll probably wrap it here for this week. And we'll be back next time, I'm sure, with some more interesting discussion. But as a reminder, if you want to get in touch with us, if you've got an idea for a topic, or maybe you'd like to be on a show, or maybe you know somebody who might want to be on a show, you can reach out to us. There's a few ways you can do that. You can leave us a voice message on our Anchor page at anchor.fm/distorted opinions. You can also find links to our social media platforms and a partial list of the places that the show is available in audio only format. If you don't see it listed there, just search Distorted Opinions on your favorite platform. We're probably there. We also have a YouTube channel where we put all of these shows in video form. So if you want to see us talking, or sometimes we have show and tell type stuff, that's where you would find those. Just search for Distorted Opinions over on YouTube. You'll find us there. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, because we would like to get 100 people subscribed to us so we can get a nice URL and not that like big, lengthy, ugly URL that YouTube assigns us. The other way you can reach out to us is by email, and our email is distortedopinionsshow@gmail.com. We're pretty responsive to any of those methods, or if you want to leave a comment on any of our social media platforms, we respond there as well. So with that, thank you again, Keisha, for joining me. As I predicted, we were going to have a good episode, even though we came into this without really having much of a plan. I think we hit some really interesting topics, and I think we came up with some more things that we can certainly unpack in a future episode here. Perhaps a breakdown of cover songs.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one. We
got quite a few we could pick from there. So. With that, thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.